Good evening, friends. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. It's Sissy with Sissy's Cards and Crafts, my squeaky chair here, and I'm trying to do some changes with my camera. So I switched camera out. I'm not sure if it's clear or not. I do understand I've got a bit of an angle here. I'm trying to work on it. I'm also getting some feedback here, so I want to just make sure I'm completely muting everything here. See if that works. Okay, so I'm getting better. Anyway, again, hi, I'm Sissy from Sissy's Cards and Crafts. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my craft room. Thank you for joining me. Please pop in the comments, say hi. I realize this is not being recorded live, so everybody that's going to be watching it will be watching the replay, but please feel free to just pop your name in and say hi and where you're from. The goal is to get more viewers to enjoy doing this and share the love of paper crafting and sending cards. Right, we're in a world that could really use some pick me up, some happiness, and I strongly suggest spring is coming. Right, it was beautiful here today in Eastern Ontario, so let's hope it's just, if it's not here, it is around the corner, that spring is and the nice weather. So use that opportunity to send a card. Easter, also, I'm working on a couple Easter cards, so hopefully I can share them in the near future. Tonight, though, I thought I would share something. The Peekaboo Forest dies. These are so cute. They're just so sweet. So with springing and these little animals starting to become more prevalent in our area, and all around, not just our area, I thought I would do a card for this. I have designed a card that is quite intricate using this, and I really like it. I will post it at the end of this video, a picture, and I plan on doing that as kind of register for the class, and I'll send you out the stuff, and you would need the stamps to do it, but I'll get more into that later on. Tonight, let's just do this. So Peekaboo Forest, this is just kind of a rough guesstimate. We're not going to do this because we're not going to have the room for 3 little peeking animals. This honestly was just me getting these dies out and playing with it. So there's some unique things about it. First off, we have this tree. And then we have, sorry, I've got a beep and I don't know where the beep's coming from. Then we have these lovely little animals that actually do peek out of the tree. And then we have these dies that are quite unique. You'd be surprised, or at least I think you'd be surprised with how these dies work. So let's give it a try and see how we do. I also pulled out our Timber 3D embossing folder just to see if we can give it a little more depth. I did that with this one. I don't think you can quite see it in the pictures. The lines you're seeing are the stamps, and that picks that up. But I have a plan to make those pop a little bit more. So let's get started. What I have done, so we have our stamps here. They are photopolymer, so the clear see-through stamps, which is helpful in this regard because we do need to see the lines of the end here to be able to join the other part. And again, I'll get to that in a second. Our dies. So we have these amazing, lovely dies. We have the tree branch that's going to pop out the end. Here is our animals. We have some leaves. Then there's these neat dies. They don't cut all the way through. That's these ones here. They actually just give a little bit where you can have them kind of pop up and give a little bit more dimension. I think, however, for the card tonight, because we're going to make it a little shorter, I'm just going to use the leaves on that, but I will I'll again talk about that a little bit more. This is that surprising die that made the grass. So we're going to kind of, I think we're going to start, no, we're going to start with the tree. So this one, other than having kind of that mock-up done, I haven't done the card. So we're going to work on it together. Hopefully we can get it done in the hour. I have a thick white card base. I have it as the, I've cut it at 4 1/4, and this is the 11 side, so I've scored it at 5 1/2. Excuse me. And I'm going to take my bone folder, and I just thought having a card open this way was a little more conducive to the high tree than to have it open this way. So that's why I chose that. So we've got that there. We're not going to do too much with it right now, but we're going to need that for a bit of an estimate, we'll say, on our card. So just to prove what I mean, right here for this, we're going to start off, and this is a crumb cake. I chose to use crumb cake because I want to stamp with, I believe I'm going to use pecan pie, I think, with this. Yeah, and then we're going to brush, use our blending brush to brush some of the ink on after we emboss it. So let's start there. I'm going to just cut this down. So this is our regular cut, but because I need it this height, they're pretty much that same height. And I almost need the full width here. So I'm just going to simply cut this in half, and then I've got it ready to go for the next time. So this is going to be that 4 1/4. I'm going to cut it up with my paper trimmer. And then we're going to cut, or we're going to stamp first, then we're going to cut. But I want to point out something. This only comes this far. And when you want to have, let me pull this out, something go up further, we have the stamp to do it, but we don't have the die to do it. I tried a couple different things, and honestly, I found the best way to do it was to fussy cut it. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I just kind of want to give you a heads up if you're looking and you're thinking, that doesn't make any sense. Let's figure it out together. So let me pull out the blocks that we need for this. We need a fairly big block to get this. Sorry. Arthritic fingers not working so good. Okay, so we're going to use that. I think I'm going to pull out this other one as well, because we're going to use that too. Okay, so we'll put these on a block. I see a little bit of it buzz on there. Center this on there. Actually, you know what? It goes better like that. Okay, so give me my space here. I might want those papers back there, because now that I've put a different camera up, you see all the different lights reflecting. I really like my Glass Mat Studio. It really does help crafting, so much so that I don't want to not use it. However, it is a bit of a pain when you're trying to do videos. I've seen that as a common complaint, and I kind of have to agree with them. Okay, I'm going to come in with this at the bottom. I'm going to get my head in the way here. And I want to stamp that. So I'm going to put that in. Give that a little bit of a minute to soak up into the, there we go. Now there is gaps here. So that gap, or those gaps rather, that's fine. They're okay. That's expected. Now we're going to use this piece. This is our extra, so we can make our tree get taller. And I need to be able to line, there's these two lines here. I want to basically line them up. So having the photopolymer stamps help with that. And then the others just kind of being a tree trunk, kind of just line up a bit. I'm going to turn this light on here. There we go. That gives me a little bit more light to see what I'm doing. So kind of the more ragged edge is the one that I want to come down, and I'm going to line up those lines. Again, sorry, head's got to get in the way to see that, but I want to connect them the best that I can. All right, look at that. Ho, ho, ho. I surprise myself sometimes. Okay, we're going to do it again. See if I can surprise myself again here. And there we go. Look at that. Okay, so we've got our tree ready to grow there. I'm just going to spritz my stamp and scrub here. Clean that off. Give it a wet and a dry scrub, and that's all ready to go. Okay, and the same with my large one here. I want to make sure it's ready to go the next time. Okay, so those are all set, and I want to now, I think I'm going to cut it out. I'm just going to cover that for a second because I don't want to get that on anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to line this up, and this is just going to cut up to here out. I will have to take my scissors and trim that afterwards. I'm going to wait though, because if I do it now, I might be too close to the line. So this will help give me the guide as to how far to go up. So I'm going to put this on. So I'm just going to slowly try, and I've got tape on my camera mount here. I'm trying to pull it off. So I'm going to line this up so we can die cut this out. And you'll note that it will cut this hole out as well, which is nice because that is what our little animals are going to peek through. Okay, we're going to have that there. I think we're pretty much on there for that one. I might, because these have used their, or my hand right in there, my lovely hand. And then, like I've said before, I have my good old Sizzix machine down here, kind of just at the pull out here under my desk. So because of my limited craft space, this is how I do it. Not the most effective, but it does work. Okay. So we've got that there. Push that back in. Now, what have we got? So this is going to come up. Like I say, that hole will also be there. And now I'm just going to use my snips, and I'm going to come down and trim that up. It isn't the best, but it's not the worst either. Like, it's a fairly easy trim because it's pretty much a straight line that we're going with. And at the moment, I'm just going to cut right up to the top. That way I'm ready to go for my next. And my next is going to be putting another hole in here for the other little animals to poke their head out of. So we have to be able to fit 2 animals on here. So let's see if we can reuse this tape. This tape is Post-it note tape. So just like the back of the Post-it notes, that tackiness, that's what this is, and it will it won't fully adhere. Just wondering if this is going to, yeah, this will work on my mini. That helps. Okay. So let's put this here. Get my plate set properly. So I've got my base plate, my cutting plate that is well used, and then I'm going to position my, let's try to get up closer here. I'm going to position this on here, making sure it is even at the edge and not overhanging. I don't want to lose some of my tree. And then I'm going to position the other cutting plate, or the second plate, on top. Okay, I'm going to run that through. There we go. Now, this is what I've done. I've just cut this circle out here for our other little, our second little animal to peek through. And there we go. So we've got those done. That's no longer needed. Perfect. This will go eventually. We're going to get this on our card here. Sorry, put some here somehow on our card. So we will probably cut this off, but I'm not going to do that at the moment. I'm just going to leave it till we get further into our card. All right. So the other part I want is one of these branches. And then we're going to do our grass and our leaves. Just move them out of the way. It's just a mess. Like, my room is not very big. A nice cup of tea that's getting cold, but it's still a good cup of tea. All right, I'm going to grab the branch here out of the way. Okay. We're going to stamp it and cut it. I want to get these done because I'm going to run them through the embossing folder and give them that texture. Then when I use the blending brush, I'll be able to pick up that texture. All right, so we're just going to position this on here. Yeah, sometimes perfect isn't perfect, right? We work too hard on getting something completely perfect, and then we miss our point that we're trying to do. Okay. So back to this lovely little machine here that works so well. I'm just going to run this through. You can get the Stampin' Cut, mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It is white, not boho blue. I do not believe they have the boho blue available anymore. And now that that is an in color that's no longer going to be available, that might be something people are going to kind of miss. I like it. I like the blue. I think the white is very classic as well, but I thought the blue was nice. Okay, so here we go. This will just glue on our card somewhere here, and we're going to have our treetop there. All right, so I'm just going to position those up here for a second. What I want to do is find all of this lovely mess here. So this is the Timber 3D embossing folder. Our grain is going this way. I don't know if you can see that there, but it is a wood grain. Mine kind of got scuffed up because I probably didn't put it in the machine properly. So make sure you always put the Stampin' Up logo side up and you always feed the spine in first, not the logo. The logo should be the last thing you see as it goes into the machine. You can see here I've cracked mine because I didn't do that. I think I tried putting it through this way because I did something like this, and I'm like, okay, I want to keep it this, so I put it through this way, but that still was too much pressure for this. So always put that spine in first, then the pressure, those wheels hit here and push that pressure out. But I've got my tree this way because that is the way the grain is, as well as my branch. I want to follow that grain. I do need to use my big Sizzix machine, and you need to use the 3D plate. So with the Sizzix, these are my cutting plates. I don't use them. And then I also have this base plate, and it tells me what I require. I'm sorry, hair. What I require for each. I cannot get that hair off of there. It's staticky. For each thing. So for the dies, I use this with the 2 plates. For 3D embossing folders, I have the embossing folder, the specialty plate, and this level here. If I was doing a regular embossing folder, I would pull this back. So, sorry, pull this back. So this is a bit cumbersome. I do think it is a great machine. It's surprisingly easier to use than you might think. And by that, I mean, it's easy to wind through, but it is just cumbersome as we're trying to utilize it. And it doesn't fold up like and to me, that's the biggest thing. So we know the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine folds up. So I'll wiggle my chair back in again. You get these ends, they fold out and fold back up again. That saves so much space, and it's not nearly as cumbersome. The big one is identical. It's just a larger version. So, that is on my wish list of would be nice to have, so I could save some space and not be as cumbersome. All right, we have our tree here, and I don't know if you can see, but I've got that embossed detail on there, the same with the branch. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper here. I thought I had a bunch of scrap. We did from, maybe not. Oh, yeah, there it is. Here it is. I ran through printing, and I think I've said it before, and I wasted a whole bunch of paper that just came out with like this top part on it, useless part. So now it's my scrap paper for this. All right, so what I want to do is put these down. I'm going to get my blending brush. I have just, and I believe I've mentioned it before, I just have a set of blending brushes. I only have about 5 or 6 of them. And I have one for browns, one for reds, one for yellows, one for greens. So this one's my brown one. What I'm going to do is just always get ink on and give it a little bit of a rub, and then go to your piece of paper or your card, whatever you're rubbing or blending, using your blending brush on, because what will happen if I just go right to the piece of paper is I'll get a big blob there, and I don't necessarily want that. So it's best to start off of or away from the part you want to ink up, and then blend in towards it. So you can see right here, I've left a mark of how I've of what that is, and that's now a little bit darker. And I don't want a whole uniform color. I want to have it so it's a little bit, looks like wood, right? A little bit off. So there, I've rubbed it on. I'm coming into my tree, and now you can see, especially where there's no, where the stamps hasn't hit there yet, how that wood grain is really being defined. I almost think you could get away without even stamping, just cutting the tree trunk out and embossing it and then doing this, especially if you had a wood grain paper, which I do, but it didn't look quite tree trunkish. It looked more like a piece of lumber, cut lumber, and I thought, yeah, it's not quite what I want. The other thing to note is when you're coming in and you're coming at these edges, the edges will absorb a lot of that ink, and it darkens the edges quite quickly. I particularly like that look in a lot of my crafts that I do, and so that suits me quite fine. You might not like that. You might not want it to be dark as what it is in those areas. That's a personal thing. If that's the case, I would stamp, then brush the ink on, and then cut it out. And that would avoid those dark edges. But I actually I kind of want to get that, and I'm trying to really push the ink into those edges. I think it just gives it a little more depth. Okay. So you can see with having the crumb cake paper, how I'm getting a whole range of colors here just by using ink in a couple different ways. So I inked it on, and now I'm brushing some on the blending brush. I'm not trying to change the color of paper, otherwise I would have used pecan pie paper. Instead, I want kind of that sort of a look. All right, so there's my tree. I believe I'm done with that. Now, sorry, itchy nose. Now I want to look at doing my greenery for it. So as well as doing greenery for the top, I want to do greenery for the bottom. So I'm going to do some grass. So I'm going to cut my paper. Again, I like to just kind of cut it as if I'm cutting for a card. I don't know why. I might actually be wasting more than saving, but I just think it helps the way my brain works. Plus, I know now that is kind of the height that I need, or the width I need. So if I cut that, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to kind of leave it as this. Or will I? Let me just look and see. First thing is deciding. So let's just do the grass. So this die, because it's just a single line, it can either have bumps up or bumps down. So it just depends on how you look at it. Looking at the lines are a little bit clearer. So that to me is those bumps are kind of going up, but they're rounded. Whereas if I have them here, they're a little bit sharper. So for me, I think I want my grass to be kind of those sharper bumps up. Does that make sense? And kind of it's what it looks like, but I could be just talking a whole bunch of talk here. Let's see how this stamps. I'm going to block. The block I need. Use H block. Yeah, H block. I'm going to pick this up and almost angle it so I can get a full angle on there. All right, so if I cut this, I'm just gonna, my grass is going to be basically just a straight across. So this is Mossy Meadow paper, or yeah, so I'm going to use Mossy Meadow ink. All right, let's see if I'm talking nonsense or if it actually makes sense here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to just this on here like this and see how this works. So I want my line to be on the inside. And this is kind of hard to match up. So this is where I was having problems before. Whereas if I cut here like this, and that seems to be the way it wants to be, then I'm actually cutting off the part that I've inked up. Whereas I want to put it that way. You know what? I think it only goes the one way if I want to use the die. I'm gonna say that. Okay, so I'm changing my mind here. If you followed me, oh, good luck. Congratulations, because I haven't been even following myself on all of that conversation, but I do have a general idea what's going on in my brain. So this is going to be our grass. I'm going to pop this on here and we're going to die cut it. So I thought I could put this die under the line and it cut out, but it's not going to. So let's just do this and I will make it work for the other way. You don't have to. You could just, but you don't have to stamp it, rather. You could just cut it. That's fine. And that might be what I do for the tree top. But I'll try. Okay, so this is now cut. Maybe we'll try to stamp the other side to see how that works. That might be the way of doing it. Okay, so here's our die. And you can see that it's cut. It didn't even cut all the way through, right? It's just cut that line. And so here is our, I'm just going to cut it like this. So I make sure I've got the space that I need. Right, so that will go along the bottom of our card as our grass. Just what we want right there. And you can barely see, I actually went too close to the line because you can't quite see it. So here I just want to try something to see, to plan my line of attack here. See what I can come up with. Yeah, so that's, sorry, I'm going to have to be out of the camera for a second. I'm almost thinking. Yeah. Sorry. I should have maybe had this figured out a little bit more before I come on, but you're learning with me. All right, so what I'm trying to do is just stamp this just underneath it, but it isn't lining up. So not quite what I was hoping for. But let's do our tree and see how we can manage that. So I want to have kind of two different positions of the tree, or two angles rather. And I'm going to kind of do, now I've got to figure out where this went again. I'm just not. Oh, are we going to have it last night tonight? I don't want to do that again. That was not fun. All right, so this is the way that's going to go, I do believe. Nope. There. Ha ha ha. Oh, hee hee hee. No, why is it? This really is. All right, I see that loop there. Okay. I'm going to do that. And we're going to cut that. I need a little more of that tape. Stick it all. And then we're going to have to do another one. All right. I do know what I'm doing, kind of. It's just getting it from the brain out. I apologize. It's a little painful to watch. Okay, I'm just going to cut this quite close because I want to use the rest of this paper. So I'll just cut off where I know it's going to cut. And that way it'll fit through. Oh, okay. This card set, I think, is great for the little ones. Was one of the reasons I really wanted to get that, to get this one. Also, I think Josh will really find it sweet. But I just, when it comes to the little ones, it's nice to have something that's cute. I thought of a few different ways of using it, like a pop-up card or something like that. So that's kind of in the back of my brain as to how we can utilize it. But then there's other ways as well that, we might be thinking of making it work. Okay. So I'm going to come down more on an angle here like this so I can get some good depth, and I'm hoping I've got the right angle. If not, I might just not use the die on this at all and just kind of cut it to what I want. I do like to have that defined line with the stamp, but I'm starting to wonder if it's worth it with all the frustration this is causing me at the moment. But yeah, I just think it makes it, gives it that little bit more finished. However, like I said, when you are using your blending brush, those edges will absorb more ink, so it almost looks like you could make it look like it's been inked on the edge. But one of those things you might have to just, like I'm finding, get your head wrapped around it and figure it out on your own before trying to explain it to somebody else, like I probably should have tonight. Okay. But I started off by saying it's a unique die. It's quite interesting. So that's what I meant. Oh, I hear Joshua coming back. All right. I'm just going to pause for a moment while I talk to my son. Okay. Hi, welcome back. I just took a quick break there so I could say hi to my son. And while I did that, magic of TV, I finished up our tree, and I've got some for the grass. So we'll put that together in a second. But I did want to pull this card base. So this is my card base. I have my blue blending brush here. I'm going to use some boho blue. I just want a nice light blue. So I'm going to put blue on my blending brush and pretty much take it off. And I'm just going to very lightly come in here and just get rid of some of this stark white and make it blue. And by doing the blending brush, I'm able to almost make it look like a cloud or a cloudy sky in the back. Now, this is very light. And as I've said before, you want to start and come inward. So where I want to start here is actually at the top, because that's where my treetop is going to be. So if I get it a little heavy up here, I'm not going to be too upset about it. So then I'm just going to come down, and I just want to take some of that stark white out of there so it looks a little bit like a cloud in the sky, just to give us a little bit of something to kind of see as a background. I think that's, I don't know if you can even kind of see that, but it's very light blue. That's all I wanted. It's just that little added touch. Okay, so let's start assembling some of this. What my thought was is I'm going to take my tree, and I could do this. No, that's got to go this way. I want my grass to be here first. And I can see I'm just a little bit too long. So I'm just going to glue that on, and then I'll trim it with my snips just for that amount. I'm not so worried about it. So I'm just going to glue this on here at the back. I'm going to make this end is the one that I want to match up with. And then I'm going to come down here, flip it over, and you can see I've just got that little bit of edge there. I'm just going to trim it off using the card as my guide. So there we go. Off. Now my tree is going to come in here. Couple things to think about. One, my animals are going to go in here, and I really would like this dark behind here. So I think I'm going to get out some of my espresso paper. I'm just trying to think of the name of early espresso paper. Or what I have done is taken the blends and colored that in. The risk of that is bleeding through this paper. I don't want to do that. So I will, I'm going to just get some early espresso and put behind there. And then our tree, we want this coming behind, and then this coming in front. So it looks like that tree's a little bushier. So while I'm doing that, before I go get the paper, I'll glue this on. You'll note that I did take a moment and I stamped some leaves on these. I did a stamp off. So I inked up my stamp, stamped it off on my scrap sheet, and then I stamped them on the paper. That way I got a lighter stamp. You can see a couple kind of my edges got a little bit darker. Just bear with me. I'm going to grab my early espresso paper. If I can. I know I bought some here somewhere. I believe. It's in my other. I remember what it is. They slide into place here. Okay. That. That's not really early espresso, but I am going to use it. I think that will be kind of dark enough. So I just want big enough for those holes to cover. So my holes are about an inch and an eighth. So I'm just going to kind of do 1.25 inches, and we'll see how that looks. This is just going to go behind. Not quite, so 1.5 inches. I might have to trim some. Yeah, there we go. So you can see how that's just going to sit in behind. And when we go and pop our animals in there, it will really show. So I'm going to just trim this here. Okay. I think I'm just going to glue it on the back like this. I don't want to be too tight around those holes because those holes are going to allow our animals to be popped in there. All right, so that's going to go there like that. Let's glue on here. Position my tree. Oh, I got some glue smudge in there. Not what I wanted. I'll have to get a glue eraser for that. Okay, squeaky chair coming. I can also pull in this branch here, and let's just see where that's going to fall. If I put this up here, I think I'm going to just stick that there. Wondering about putting dimensionals behind it. I think I might, and that way I can do, I had some minis out. Let's just use some mini dimensionals. That way I'm thinking it'll sit on top of this tree a little bit and kind of sit where I want it to sit. There's that top that I was trying to find. Okay. That's going to go in here. And then I'm going to use dimensionals for this as well. Just use this like this. Edges work really well. Don't be afraid to use them. Just put this here like that. And then this one here. I can even kind of curve that a little bit. Okay, pull this off. Right. That's a mess and a half. Mess and a half. All right, make sure we're lining this up. Okay. Now, for the finishing touches, I mean, we've still have to do our animals, but I'm going to take these little leaves and we're basically going to use them like an embellishment on our tree. So I've got these here. Oh, did I just drop that? How lovely. Oh, I found it. I found it. So I'm just going to pop these on. Just to give it a little bit of added. I could have put these on dimensionals as well, but I'm just, to be honest, didn't think of it till too late. I think with what we've got going on, we're pretty good here anyways. All right, and I thought we could just stick a couple more down here. So I'm going to put one just kind of overlapping that branch. I'm going to put one in here. It's kind of underneath there. And that's it. I did print or stamp another one. I might do that and stick it in up there, but I think that's good for now. That will do what I want. All right, so now the fun part is the little animals. They are so, so cute. So thank you for sticking with me this far. If you can hold on for the next little bit, I promise you'll enjoy it. I just need to find that white piece of paper that I had. That I used. I was saving it too. I will use this one. I don't believe this is the one that I was saving, but we will use it anyways. All right, I'm just going to cut part off here, and we are going to stamp the animals. I think I'm going to use, I like this little what's he called? Raccoon. And then the little hedgehog is pretty cute. I love the little bear as well, but I just find that, excuse me, I want to do him brown, and the brown that I have is a little dark. I don't have all of the stamp blend markers, and so when I go to use the browns that I have, they're just a little bit too dark and you can't quite see them. So I'm going to do these two little guys. I really like the little hedgehog. I think he's so sweet. Okay, so there's that little tiny leaf stamp. Make sure I put it back. Okay. Memento, it is off to the side. And now we are going to color these guys before we cut them out, because coloring them makes it a little bit easy, or coloring first makes it a little easier. All right, so this guy, what I did is I took some light crumb cake and the ivory, and then I just did a little bit of dark crumb cake around his, you can see here, the little quills, and cake. I just kind of came in and I highlighted these quills just to show them off a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to also do his snout. And I just kind of did the tips of his paws like that, and we'll blend them out. I just didn't think he needed all dark paws. And then I'm going to take this other light crumb cake. Like I say, just blend those paws out like that. And the same here. So get those little quills. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like there isn't a line that we're coloring within. It's just making them look a little bit prickly. A little bit prickly. Now I did also take a little bit of the light bubble bath, and I just kind of went along this line here to give a little bit of pink to that ear. And then I used the ivory, and I came in and did the ivory here for him. I'm probably going to come back over with that pink just because it didn't want to stay. And because of these blends, I can go right over the Memento ink and not worry about it. So I'm just going right over those eyes. And then I'm coming down here and coloring. So this just gives them a little bit of a color, not too much, but just enough. And then I'm going to come back in, like I say, and give a little bit more pink to those ears just to make them look cute. I'm going to do the same here for this guy because I'll probably blend them out. Okay, so that one. Now we need my grays. So I have my dark smoky slate and light smoky slate. And the dark, of course, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do this little smidgen here. Somebody described it one time with using blends, like you're pushing the ink around. And that's always kind of stuck with me. Instead of thinking where I position this ink, it's going to stay exactly there. I consider pushing it around, and that kind of helps me keep in mind how these blends work, especially when it comes to blending ink. So the alcohol ink is quite a unique ink. I really enjoy working with it. I think it just adds a whole different level to your project. It just is so much more professional. And you think of coloring with your pencil crayons or whatever, and there's always those coloring lines, and you try to smooth them out and make it look as blended as possible, and different weight, like you push harder on some areas and lighter on others, and that's all very well and good, and it works. But these, because I'm pushing the ink around, it's not, I've got the opportunity to kind of move it. And right now it kind of shows those lines where I did color, but I come back and look at it in a few minutes and they're going to be totally different. And you can build on color as well. So I'm just coming back in here with that pink and perking that up a little bit. Okay, so those are our two little guys. Let's cut them out and then we're pretty much done. So on our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine one last time. We've got our plates we're going to use here and line our dies up. So the first one, we'll get this little critter done, and you can see how they actually pop in or fit into the space that we've given them. Okay, so because this guy doesn't have those distinct edges, around the little prickly areas. I'm matching up his paws. So for the little hedgehog, my plate, there it is. All right. Again, thank you guys. I know, we're at an hour and it's, I did give you a bit of a pause halfway through. The cards that are a little more tedious, they do take time, but when you're making them, especially for a little one, I was talking to my son's girlfriend tonight, and they're like, cards are a gift, because whether you make them or not, we pay so much for cards now. And instead of paying, sometimes I've seen cards close to $20, right? Instead of paying that, making them, it means so much more. Okay, so you can see these little guys, they have this tab here on there, and it's cut right out up here. So that means I can poke them in, and because I didn't glue down here, his little body or his little paws are going to stick out. Now, that is showing because I made those holes pretty close together. So I'm just going to cut a sliver of that off. But still, those little paws are going to stick out there. And it just looks so sweet. And this little guy, he's going to go in there. And you know what? I'm going to color that a little bit more. Oh, that's the dark. I want dark. I want light. I'm just going to go down a little further here. Make them a little. Okay. And away we go. He just sticks in there. So he's just poking out, saying, hey, what are you doing? Let's put this little guy on a bit of an angle too. So one's looking one way and one's looking the other. There we go. And I'm just going to use some dimensionals in behind them to really give them a little bit more oomph. If I could find my dimensionals. There they are, right where I put them. Of course. Of course. Okay. So this one's going to go here. I'm going to pop them in there. Give some added oomph. And let's just put this dimensional. I'll use this last little bit here with this one. Waste not, want not, right? Okay. So there we go, right there like that. And that is our card. So then we can open it up and it can be that happy birthday card. We can put a sentiment on there, of course. Happy birthday would probably be my choice. I was thinking of even using this punch, this new punch, label punch, and creating a happy birthday. So let's just, I think I had them out still. Pretty sure I had them out still. Yes, here it is. So we could do happy birthday. Happy birthday, happy birthday. So this is going to have to go this way. So let's do the stamping here for this. So I want to do an outline for it. I think that'll just give it a little bit more oomph. Just going to place this here for a second. Pick it up. Might be time to re-ink my pad. If you are not aware yet, Stampin' Up! Has released to demonstrators their new catalog. for the next year, the upcoming year. Some pretty interesting stuff in there. It looks exciting, but they've also released that they're going to, due to increase of prices everywhere, they're going to have to increase the price of the cardstock. So if you need cardstock, now's the time to stock up. I believe for us in Canada, it's a couple dollars a package. It depends. There's going to be some other changes as well too. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it's the thick white cardstock now will only be available in 12 by 12 sheets. That is to save money. So that is of help to us, but because it's 12 by 12, that makes it a little more expensive. So, you know, think of the future. Things change. Everything's gone up in price, so it shouldn't be too surprising. However, it's never happy. So what I want to do is I line up my stamp like that. I'm putting enough pressure on to hold that paper there. And then once I'm sure it's okay, I'm going to pop it out and I've got my label. Stamps are so quick and easy. And then I can just put this in here with dimensionals. Another stamp or punch that came out was this one, and it's a ribbon punch, and we can use it to put a hole here to create a spot to put a ribbon. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I don't really have the spot to do that. I would like to do it here and then have that ribbon come out, but it's not going to happen. So we'll use those punches at a later date to show. But that, I think, is what's going to go on there. And we, of course, will jazz this up, put a few embellishments on it maybe, and then do our inside. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful night, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.